Amazing 5-star reveal. Millionaire's daughter surprisingly chooses gardener over wealthy moms. Lily Anderson stood at the edge of her family's sprawling estate, the manicured gardens blooming in technicolor around her. A whirlwind of whispers and scandals swirled in her mind, drowning out the chirping of birds and the rustling leaves. A millionaire's daughter with a working-class lover? The thought sent adrenaline coursing through her veins. Despite the glimmering facade of her life, dread coiled in her stomach as she imagined her mother's sharp, disapproving gaze at the upcoming gala. The boundaries her luxurious upbringing imposed felt suffocating, the weight of expectation bore down like a yoke on her shoulders, and yet, David offered a breath of fresh air. Time spent with David, the humble gardener, unfurled a world far removed from the yacht parties and tailored suits of her social circle. Each afternoon, as she painted amid the vibrant blooms, Lily yearned for authenticity. She had never known an emotional tether to a life defined by passion rather than privilege. Every laugh they shared in the fragrant air whispered against the confines of her gilded cage. But those stolen moments came with a pulse of uncertainty. What would her friends say? Would they ostracize her for choosing someone so outside their world? Her stomach twisted as she remembered their teasing remarks, thinly veiled cruelty aimed at her budding affection for David. The gardener, they would scoff, their laughter echoing like daggers. In those moments, she could almost hear her mother's voice, warning her of the perils of straying from their illustrious path. Lily felt trapped in a whirlpool of conflicting desires, her artistic aspirations clashing violently with the inherited privilege that clawed at her soul. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The pressure escalated, mounting as soon as news of the scandal erupted. Whispers intertwined with the chirping of cicadas, a devastating exposé of her family's dealings to meet the demands of their elite world. The once sturdy walls of their reputation began to crack, threatening to augment her already turbulent emotions. The tension twisted inside her like a living thing. Here lay the choice: remain a silent participant in her family's struggle to maintain their status, or take a stand against the snobbish ideals she had been raised to uphold. Could she risk her social standing for someone who dared to live authentically, or would it cost David his dignity as well? Time felt elastic, stretching agonizingly as Lily debated, could she confront her mother, an uncompromising force whose idea of success was embedded in wealth and appearance? Would the prospect of scandal motivate her mother to see her point of view? The gala loomed on the horizon, and within her heart, uncertainty gnawed at her spirit, threatening to unravel her. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky with crimson, an unexpected figure appeared in the driveway, a shadow of the past that could sidetrack her harrowing path forward. What truths would this visitor unveil? It felt as if the universe was holding its breath, just like she was, waiting to see if she would redefine her fate or remain shackled to a life devoid of authenticity. Lily sucked in a deep breath, a wave of recognition washing over her as the silhouette sharpened. It was her estranged cousin, Sarah, a brash and unwavering spirit who had turned her back on their high society life years ago. She had opted for a countercultural existence in pursuit of her own artistic vision, a choice that had shocked the Anderson family. But as Sarah approached with her wild hair and an ease of movement that spoke of liberation, Lily felt the atmosphere shift subtly, as if the air itself was retreating from the expectations of bygone aristocracy. "What are you doing here?" Lily asked, half joking yet fully aware of the seriousness underlying her tone. She had always admired Sarah's audacity but feared what her presence would mean for the fragile tapestry of her own life. "I heard the whispers, Lils. Figured you might need a dose of reality right about now," Sarah said, her voice holding a melodic lilt that contrasted with the hard edge of her words. "Is it true? You're actually falling for the gardener?" Lily hesitated, the question bouncing around in her mind like a pinball. "You don't understand. It's complicated. My family won't accept it. You know how they are. Of course I do, but that only matters if you let them dictate your choices. Sarah crossed her arms, her eyes alight with conviction. What do you want? The unexpected simplicity of the question startled Lily. What did she want? She could hear David's laughter in the garden, feel the warmth of their shared moments wash over her. I want to paint, to feel something real. But I'm scared of what it means to be with him. I'm scared of losing everything. Everything? Sarah shrugged dismissively. You mean the glitz and the high society nonsense? You might find that losing that could afford you something far greater yourself. As uncertainty gripped Lily, her mind raced with the idea that maybe Sarah was right. Over the years, she had trained herself to repress her desires, molding herself into the version her family expected. Yet, with each brushstroke of paint, she found an exhilarating hint of freedom. What if Sarah's unrelenting honesty was the first step toward reclaiming her voice? Are you telling me to abandon my family? Lily asked, the words tasting bitter on her tongue. I'm saying you should choose yourself for once, Sarah replied, firm but gentle. Living artfully doesn't require permission from those who don't understand. What do you really want to portray with your work? Is it authenticity or a dream? Each word struck a chord deep within Lily. They echoed the turmoil that had constructed a fortress around her heart. The galloping thoughts of defiance began to merge with visceral longing. If I stand up for what I believe, I might lose them, she whispered, sadness tinging her voice. Or maybe you'll discover who's worth keeping, Sarah countered, her expression softening. Life is short, too short for shadows. Stand in your light, cousin. Lily felt the weight of the world shift precariously, a delicate balance hanging in the air between duty and desire. As Sarah's voice reverberated in her head, she felt her own potential wrestling with the shackles of her upbringing. Tonight at the gala, I'll confront my mother, she murmured, the statement laced with newfound resolve. I'll unveil not just my true feelings for David but also my art, my essence. Just as the words left her mouth, a heart-wrenching idea crashed in from the periphery. What if Sarah's arrival was more than just a catalyst? What if she was heralding a storm they'd both have to face together? As Lily prepared to walk back toward her family's estate, the conflict nested deep within her surged. Was she ready to flood her life with authenticity at the risk of drowning in familial fallout? The gala awaited her, with uncertainty looming larger than life, and amidst the vivid colors of her impending choice, a familiar face approached in the distance, David, with anticipation painting his features. Would he stand beside her when the tide rose? Lily took a steadying breath, feeling the beat of her heart sink with the footsteps echoing from the opulent estate. David's figure grew clearer, his smile a beacon in her whirlwind of thought. Each step he took brought with it a rush of warmth that wrapped around her like a comforting shawl, yet that comfort was shadowed by the amassed weight of expectation and conflict. Hey, you look beautiful, David said, his eyes lighting up as he drew closer. The sincerity in his voice momentarily dulled the anxiety ripping through her, but in the back of her mind, the conversations with Sarah loomed large, reminding her of the urgency to confront the truths she had long buried. Thanks, Lily replied, a soft smile brushed her lips, though beneath this facade lay a tempest of emotions. Can we talk for a moment? David nodded, tilting his head slightly as if sensing an underlying gravity in her words. They stepped away from the crowd gathering for the gala, stealing a quiet moment by the garden's edge. The stars blinked overhead, twinkling like the fragments of confidence she was dying to piece together. What's up? He asked, genuine concern knitting his brow. Lily's mind scrambled for the right words, but the simplicity of her earlier thoughts screamed within her. She thought of her art, of desire, and of a life tethered to expectations rather than love. I've been thinking a lot about what I want. What we have. His gaze held steady, not wavering even as her heart raced with doubt. I was hoping you'd say that. I really feel like there's something special here. I do too. But she paused, the weight of her upbringing anchored her resolve. I'm scared, David. Scared of what being with you means, of what my family will say. What if I stand up and lose everything I've built? David took her hands in his. Everything you've built? His voice was low, coaxing her fears into the light. Or everything they've built for you? Are you happy in it? His question ricocheted off her mind. She hesitated. The question of happiness had evaded her for too long, buried beneath layers of duty and obligation. It's not just about me. I'd be choosing you over my family, over the life I've been conditioned to accept. For the first time, Lily considered the fullness of her desires against the weight of her lineage. She was suffocating beneath the gilded cage of their expectations, her creativity hidden beneath thick armor forged by family reputation. You don't know my mother. She'll make it a choice between you and everything. Then make the choice, he said, gently squeezing her hands. I want you to feel free, not trapped. His accountability pulled her fragmented thoughts into focus. For once, she needed to be vulnerable, to weather the storm he promised would follow. Momentary silence hung thick as they both navigated the uncharted terrain of their futures. I want to paint, David, she said finally. Not just landscapes but my truth. If I'm brave enough to leave behind what was expected, then maybe I can inspire people through my art. Then let us start tonight by being authentic, together, he replied, eyes sparkling with an unwavering light, yet, as the tentative warmth swirled between them, uncertainty stalked in the shadows, tightening its grip. Had she finally found the courage to be herself, or was she walking into the disapproval that her family perpetually wielded like a weapon? Reality trembled with each passing moment, haunting her choices. As they rejoined the gala, the echoes of clinking glasses and conversations filled the air. She could feel the weight of her family's gaze already scanning for the mistakes they anticipated. We can't hide who we are anymore, Lily. David's words hung between them like a promise and a challenge. Lily stepped forward, heart thudding, resolved to embrace her true self, even if it ruffled the feathers of the high society she was bred to uphold. But as she scanned the crowd, she sensed her mother's presence, the fierce matriarch of tradition and expectation. Could she truly stand her ground against the dominant influence of her family? The moment of confrontation teetered just out of reach, a suspenseful breath ready to break the surface. Would her truth be worth the upheaval unleashed upon her world? In the midst of the glittering night, the stakes had never felt higher, and Lily braced herself for the inevitable tide of revelation ahead. The crowd's laughter and clinking glasses surged around Lily like an unrelenting tide, but she felt suspended on the edge of decision, every heartbeat a drumroll of anticipation. David remained at her side, a soothing presence amidst the impending storm, yet the familiar weight on her shoulders seemed to grow heavier. The intimate conversation they had shared just moments before was eclipsed by the sharp gaze of her mother, who now scanned the gala floor like a hawk, ever watchful, ever assessing. Do you want to go? David asked softly, pulling her from her reverie. His tone was gentle, the question a lifebuoy in the throes of her thrashing thoughts. Lily shook her head, fighting to summon the resolve she claimed earlier. No. I can't just walk away. I need to face this. How many times had she avoided conflict? Each withdrawal felt like a betrayal of her own essence, one brushstroke less in the masterpiece she yearned to create. Taking a deep breath, she positioned herself to confront the glittering facade and the sharp reality she'd avoided for too long. Stay by me, she said, uncertain whether he could sense her flickering resolve. As they approached her family's circle, a playful exchange among the influential attendees, a blend of art collectors and community leaders, turned into a stinging reminder of what she was up against. The well-coiffed ensemble wore smiles like they wore their expensive suits, a thin veneer, concealing the barbs of judgment that came with social standing. Lily, darling. Her mother's voice sliced through the atmosphere. There you are. I hope you've been mingling with the right people. The words dripped with a pretense of care, but they threaded with expectation. Hers, not Lily's. Something deep within flickered. This was the moment. "Mother, I'd like you to meet David," Lily said, each word a small revolution. Her mother's gaze narrowed slightly, skimming over David's attire, the grass-stained knees peeking through tailored fabric. "Hello," he said, extending a hand with a smile that was bright yet grounded. The tension crackled in the air as her mother merely raised an eyebrow, a silent challenge of sorts passing between them. "What do you do, David?" Her tone switched easily from inquiry to judgment. "I'm a gardener," he stated, voice steady, his eyes unwavering. "But I've also been working on my landscaping design business. I want to help people discover the beauty of their own environments. Nature has a way of healing." The response felt like a spark in a dry wood pile. A murmur swept through the crowd, intrigue and skepticism writhed in equal measure, daring Lily to reclaim her narrative. She could feel eyes turning toward her, anticipating the response that would come next. Would she retreat back into the shadows, or step into the light and claim her desire? "My heart is in art," she found herself saying, surprising even herself. "It's universal, transformative. Just like David is transforming the spaces he touches." A chorus of gasps ricocheted through the gathering, mixed with whispers that fluttered around like restless butterflies. The promises of obligation and security stood juxtaposed with her unyielding need for authenticity. Her mother's voice broke through. "And this is what a distinguished evening has come to? A gardener?" Disdain dripped in her words, face taut with disapproval. "You must understand the risk you're taking, Lily." "Maybe it's time to take a risk, Mother," she replied, surprising herself again with the clarity in her tone. Each word was a brushstroke of defiance, painting her path in vivid colors. David's hand rested firmly at her back, a fortress against the arrows of her family's disdain. She was no longer merely a product of her inheritance, she was the artist of her own life. But as the murmurs grew more pronounced, the realization settled heavily on her chest. This was just the beginning. "Lily, wait. This isn't over," her mother warned, the frost in her tone a reminder of the battles yet to come. As they walked away from her mother's withering gaze, the realization hit with fresh clarity. Was she truly prepared for the inevitable fallout, or had she just scratched the surface of her rebellion? David glanced at her, understanding and hope sparking in his eyes. "You're onto something big, aren't you?" What had momentarily felt liberating now intertwined with dread, a storm brewing on the horizon. Could she navigate these treacherous waters, or would the consequences drown her spirit? The next chapter of her story was now unfurling, and in its promise lay an upheaval far beyond her initial confrontation, a test of her newfound identity that would pull her deeper into her artistic journey. The fresh air outside felt like a cleansing breath after an underwater escape, a chance for Lily to regroup and reflect on the night's tumultuous turn. The extravagant gala behind her faded into a blur, the laughter now muffled by the weight of her mother's scorn. She and David stepped into a world silent but for the distant hum of city life, a stark contrast to the superficial charm they had just left behind. "Are you okay?" David asked, concern etched across his features as he looked down at her, his hands tucked into the pockets of his worn jeans. The softness of his gaze stirred something deep within her, a burgeoning confidence she hardly recognized. "I don't know," she admitted, the words slipping from her lips before she could bottle them back. Instability and exhilaration tangled inside her. "I felt powerful, but scared. I said I'd take a risk, but what if it's the worst decision of my life? To choose authenticity over approval? That's not a decision to regret," he replied, his voice steady. "It's about what you truly want. Not what anyone else expects." His words echoed through her mind, igniting a questioning fire. She had grown tangled in her mother's expectations for so long, suffocated by the weight of comparison. She needed to define herself anew, and this moment might just be the catalyst. "I've never done anything like that," she shared, half ashamed and half emboldened. "I usually play it safe, you know. But then I see you doing what you love. I wonder if I can ever be that brave." Bravery isn't the absence of fear, David said thoughtfully, a wise demeanor radiating from him. It's about accepting that fear and moving forward anyway. It took guts for you to introduce me like that. You just have to keep going. As they strolled down the sidewalk, she felt an urge to release the burden of expectations that surrounded her. The realization emerged, her mother's judgment would come, but the power to define what mattered most rested solely in her hands. With renewed resolve blossoming inside her, Lily veered off their path, leading David toward a nearby art gallery they had often passed but never entered. Tonight felt different. This felt necessary. The gallery's sparse lighting illuminated a collection of various artistic expressions. Each painting told its own story, and Lily found herself entranced, running fingers over the textured canvases. Experiencing art in its sacred space invigorated her and, for the first time, it sparked an idea of creating her own exhibitions. "Can you envision it?" she asked, her excitement bubbling over. "A showcase that blends nature and art, celebrating life in all its forms? I want to curate spaces that inspire others." David watched her animatedly, brow raised in admiration. "That's incredible, Lily. You already have an innate understanding of beauty and how it impacts people. You just launched into another risk." She persisted, rallying each thought growing bolder. "In my heart, I know art is what I want to pursue. It's not just about selling pieces, it's about eliciting emotions. Embracing what's wild and free, just like you do in your gardens." Taken aback by her own commitment, she couldn't ignore the fiery resolve ignited within her. This was more than just passion, it was an awakening, a sense of purpose crystallizing with clarity she hadn't anticipated, but just as exhilaration flooded her, a sudden wave of insecurity crashed against its shores. What would her mother think? The critics? Would she face ridicule for stepping away from the path her family had laid before her? David sensed her hesitation. "You're developing into the artist you were meant to be, Lily. Don't let anyone hold you back from pursuing that. You owe it to yourself." His words resonated, but her pulse quickened at the unknown. Would it be worth the fight against her family's disappointment? Or had she found herself on a path where acceptance would come from within? Stepping back from the paintings, she inhaled deeply, grounding herself in the moment. "I want to explore this, to express all that I feel and have pent up inside. But I'll need to navigate the fallout from my family, especially my mother." "Then let's plan it out," David suggested, excitement brimming anew. "Building a bridge to your vision will take strategy and determination." As they prepared to leave the gallery, an unexpected fire ignited within Lily, but lurking in the depths of her mind was the echo of her mother's warnings. She was on the precipice of unleashing her true self into a world that strived to mold her, and that battle was just beginning. What was the first step she'd take toward this newfound want? The tension coiled tightly, and she smiled, already formulating plans in her mind. Yet, as she stepped back into the city streets, the doubt lingered like a shadow. In this struggle between the light of her aspirations and the darkness of familial obligation, the battle awaited. Would she summon the courage to begin her true journey, or would she retreat once again into the safe confines of expectation? Clarity washed over Lily the following morning, urging her to confront the uncertainty that had clouded her aspirations. Sunlight streamed through her bedroom window, illuminating the walls adorned with her art, a blend of sketches and half-finished paintings, remnants of a passion too often stifled. As she gazed at her own creations, a spark ignited within her. The chaotic emotion subsided, replaced by a fierce want for a life unbound by expectation. She needed a plan, a way to turn this inspiration into reality without the looming shadow of her family's judgment. It began with simple steps: researching local galleries, seeking out mentorships, and building connections within the creative community. But the entry point into that world felt intimidating. Was she capable enough to execute her vision? Did she understand the art market sufficiently? With determination growing in her chest, Lily reached for her laptop, fingers poised above the keyboard. The screen flickered to life, revealing vibrant images of art exhibitions and curator interviews. As she scrolled through, a pang of self-doubt threatened to unravel her newfound momentum. Yet, beneath that doubt lay a persistent whisper: authenticity was more valuable than acceptance. She turned to her sketchbook, the pages still unwritten, and began outlining potential themes for her exhibition. Nature and human connection, she wrote, underlining the phrase. It echoed David's influence, his passion for cultivating life. Ideas flowed freely, channeling the joy she felt in the gallery and her desire to merge it with her identity. Lily's artist heart raced. What about a collaboration, perhaps? The gardener's knowledge of flora alongside her artistic vision, both merging to convey something profound. This idea spun into a vision that invigorated her spirit, an immersive installation that felt alive, a true representation of their worlds uniting. But could she involve David in this growing dream? The prospect excited her but also rattled through layers of vulnerability. Would he see the potential or dismiss it as a mere whim? Absolutely not. She quelled the familiar pang of assuming failure. This time, she would act. That afternoon, she messaged David, her pulse quickening with anticipation. What if I create an exhibition that merges our worlds? Your gardens and my art. A celebration of life. Let us meet at that cafe we like. Each word felt heavy yet liberating, an announcement of intention. She spent the waiting hours sketching new ideas, shifting the focus from doubt to possibility. Images danced in her mind, vibrant flowers enveloped in color, intended to pull viewers into a cocoon of serenity. This was not just an exhibition, it was the manifestation of her true self. When the cafe door swung open, David appeared, sunlight framing his silhouette. The warmth in his smile reassured her as he slid into the seat across from her. I have an idea, she declared, the sense of urgency propelling her forward. Enthusiastically, she conveyed her vision, eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. The freedom to speak without hesitation felt powerful, freeing her from the binds of familial expectations. His brow furrowed in thought, and for a moment, vulnerability stretched between them. You really think we can do this? He asked, a blend of excitement and caution coloring his voice. Lily nodded firmly. This isn't just about the exhibition, it's about me taking a stand. It's about us. David leaned back, contemplating the weight of her words. A flicker of admiration ignited in his eyes. If you believe in it, then it's absolutely worth pursuing. The world needs more of that. For the first time, the thought of her mother's disapproval seemed distant. She was crafting a narrative that resonated with her essence, not dictated by the expectations of others. However, the path clarifying ahead was not devoid of obstacles. How would she present this vision to her mother? Could she withstand the repercussions of her decision if it meant stepping into her own truth? As they spoke, plans blooming, the invisible threat of judgment loomed like dark clouds encroaching on their sunny midday conversation. Diligence and fortitude were necessary. The journey to pursue her passion promised to be riddled with internal and external opposition. Let us schedule time to brainstorm, she suggested, but the blend of exhilaration and apprehension blurred her focus. Unbeknownst to them both, the road ahead would test not just their artistic collaboration but challenge Lily's resolve to stand tall against the weight of her upbringing. Flinches of doubt returned as she recognized the true battle extending beyond affirming her vision. It was about discovering the courage to forge ahead, no matter the cost. As they formulated plans, Lily's heart danced with the thrill of possibility, but anxiety intertwined within. Could she challenge the inevitable fallout, and would she withstand the pressure of defiance? The moment of truth hovered on the horizon, and with it the realization that daring to be authentic could obliterate her foundation. Would she lean into that uncertainty or recoil, returning to safety? She felt herself straddling the line between two worlds with each decision. The stakes rose high. An electric mixture of vulnerability and exhilaration coursed through Lily as she prepared to step into a reality she had long kept at arm's length. Days passed, filled with late-night brainstorming sessions and excited exchanges with David, each meeting further solidifying the uniqueness of their vision. The more they collaborated, the clearer it became that this endeavor not only blended their artistic expressions but also their identities. However, as plans solidified, so did the shadows of her familial legacy. The thought of presenting her idea to her mother felt like standing on a precipice. One misstep and she could tumble into disapproval. Lily often replayed conversations with her mother in her mind, the dismissive comments lingering like a heavy mist. The legacy her parents imagined for her was constructed with wealth, prestige, and a respectable career, none of which involved art. Could she shatter that illusion without losing herself in the aftermath? Determined, she crafted a timeline, complete with goals to keep her grounded amidst the emotional turbulence. As she typed, she realized that action anchored her, despite flaring insecurities. Each goal outlined wasn't just a step toward the exhibition. It was a mantra of sorts, proof that she could redefine her path. During one particularly intense brainstorming session at David's garden, Lily felt an idea burgeon within her. Surrounded by vibrant flowers, she realized her work needed depth. It wasn't just color and form, it was a narrative. In her mind, the exhibition transformed. It was no longer a mere display, it became a conversation about life, growth, and the connection between humanity and nature. What if we make it interactive? She proposed to David, excitement lacing her voice. Participants could walk through a path of installations that represent different life stages, each one intertwined with aspects of nature. It could culminate in a space where viewers can create their own art inspired by what they've experienced. David's eyes lit up. That's brilliant. We could integrate your art with the flora, invite people to plant flowers as part of their interactive piece. It could be a living installation. The air around them tightened with potential. This wasn't just art, it was a reimagining of existence itself. Yet, with each euphoric discussion surfaced the impending dread of external judgment. She could already picture her mother's scathing remarks. What will people think? Or can't you find something more appropriate? The thought squeezed her heart, but she reminded herself that her art and her vision was worth the risk. Moments of lucidity would strike, followed by waves of anxiety. Self-doubt surfaced unexpectedly, yet those moments became fleeting. She was the one constructing her identity now, tethered to her passion for art rather than her lineage's expectations. One evening, Lily prepared to visit her parents. The urgency of their impending disapproval weighed heavily on her. As the sun dipped below the skyline, she stared at her reflection, a woman at the cusp of self-acceptance. Even as her palms sweated and her heart raced, she wore her truth like armor. "Mom, Dad," she started, her voice a trembling note amidst a symphony of fears, "I need to share something important with you." But in the back of her mind, the echo of past conversations paraded through her thoughts, layering self-doubt upon her determination. Would revealing her artistic aspirations shatter their dreams for her? Would this decision besiege her with guilt and isolation? Approaching the moment felt reminiscent of teetering on the edge of a high dive, exhilarating but terrifying. Her stakes had grown, the urgency amplifying with every heartbeat. Suddenly a question echoed for the first time, laden with revelation. Would she prioritize acceptance or authenticity? With breaths caught in her throat, she stepped forward, ready to face the storm looming just ahead. The stakes were higher than ever. Could she confront her fears and emerge unscathed, or would the weight of expectations drag her back into a comfort zone that felt anything but safe? Lily's heart pounded in her chest as the words hung in the air between her and her parents. The living room, adorned with family photographs and starkly polished furniture, a mirror of expectations, felt suddenly suffocating. Her mother sat rigidly, arms crossed, while her father's brows knitted in cautious concern. Silence stretched, charged with unsaid judgments and apprehension. "Art? You want to make a career out of something like that?" Her mother's voice pierced the stillness, sharp and edged. "Do you realize how unrealistic that is?" Her mother's response, like an icy gust, sent a shiver down Lily's spine. Resistance boiled within her, but fear lurked beneath, threatening to unravel the tenuous threads of confidence she had spun. The pressure to retreat tugged at her, yet, in that moment, clarity surged. She felt the weight of her conviction pressing against the doubts. "Yes," Lily responded, steadier than she felt. "I want to create art that means something. It's not just about the gallery shows, it's about connecting with people. I need this." The disappointment radiating from her mother was palpable, yet Lily pressed on. "This project is different. It's about life stages and nature, a conversation, not just a display. I believe in it. I can't keep living in the shadow of what you expect." Her mother's expression hardened, a mix of disbelief and indignation swirling in her eyes. "And what will your father and I tell our friends? Oh, our daughter is an artist? What if it fails, Lily?" A bitter taste filled Lily's mouth at the thought of equating her worth to the opinions of others. What if it succeeds? What if it brings joy and inspires change? Her father interjected, his steady tone betraying the tension in the room. "We just want you to be secure, to have a career that will support you." The stakes of acceptance loomed larger, enveloping her in a familiar cocoon of doubt. Yet, something inside shifted. This was not solely about convincing her parents but reassuring herself. "This is security for me," she blurted, finding her voice amidst the chaos, "not financial security, but the fulfillment of who I am." Her parents stared back, the rift between their expectations and her aspirations widening with every heartbeat. Leaving the suffocating atmosphere behind, Lily stepped outside into the cool night air, breathing in the scent of earth and blooming flowers. In that moment, surrounded by the stillness of the garden, the vibrancy of life pulsated through her. Perhaps she wouldn't change their minds tonight. Perhaps this revelation would shake their foundations, making space for her own. She could continue building her path, a tapestry woven of colors where vulnerability intertwined with courage. In the weeks to come, she would need to balance the drive to prove herself with the knowledge that not everyone would understand or approve of her choices. Motivated by the weight of their criticism and fired up by her ambitions, she returned to David. Ideas flowed freely, unfiltered by insecurity this time. They spent long hours further refining their project, breathing life into the interactive installation that had begun to take shape. Every plan laid became a thread tying her to her own vision. As excitement surged, a darker thought lurked in the corner of her mind. What if her project didn't resonate with an audience? What if her mother's words came to haunt her? With each passing day, her resolve hardened, almost combative. She was ready, yet the specter of judgment still loomed. Determined to assert her identity, she knew the risks she was taking. The possibility of failure transformed, now carving a vivid picture of resilience. Staring down at her sketchpad filled with plans, she felt the weight of the world shift in her favor. Yet a fresh wave of uncertainty washed over her. This journey was only just beginning. Would her artistic call lead to validation and success, or would it cast her deeper into the shadows of familial disappointment? The next chapter awaited, and the stakes were rising. Would she have the courage to expose her truth fully, or would the fear of failure hold her captive? Lily awakened the next morning to the soft glow of sunlight filtering through her curtains, illuminating a room that felt both familiar and foreign. The walls, once just a backdrop to her memories, now stood as a canvas awaiting the swirl of her aspirations. Every choice made in her life seemed to echo, reminding her of the weight of independence she sought to define. She could nearly hear her parents' words tangling around her thoughts, but she was resolved to drown them out with the sound of her own ambition. Commitment surged within her as she dove into the day, eager to collaborate with David, whose laughter and creativity became an antidote to her apprehension. They spent hours brainstorming ways to enhance their installation, how the elements of nature could come alive in a dance of color and participation. Lily's hand moved fluidly over her sketchpad, transforming wisps of ideas into tangible forms. With each stroke, a renewed sense of purpose electrified her, blurring the boundaries between artistic expression and personal fulfillment. However, the chatter of self-doubt whispered sinister tales. What if the critics didn't understand? What if the public was indifferent? As Lily sketched, her once enthusiastic brush felt heavier, casting shadows over her designs. Stop it, she reprimanded herself, the physical act of drawing forcing a focused defiance against the negativity. "Well," David interjected, breaking through her spiral, "what if we added an interactive area? Something that invites people to share their experiences of life stages? It could create a beautiful dialogue." His eyes sparkled, a reminder of the potential that lay beyond her insecurities. "Yeah," she replied, her voice steadier, echoing the burgeoning confidence within. "I think that could work. It's all about connection." They brainstormed together, drawing upon personal experiences to formulate pieces that could evoke emotion, the feeling of loss, rebirth, and resilience, each stroke capable of touching the lives of those who stepped into their world. But as excitement bubbled, she felt an unsettling urgency to begin executing plans. She needed proof that she could indeed create something significant. Fueled by adrenaline, Lily decided to propose their installation to a local gallery that supported emerging artists. The thought sent a thrill coursing through her, yet, the lurking anxiety clawed at the edges. As she prepared for that pivotal meeting, she rehearsed tirelessly in front of the mirror, critiquing her every sentence. What if she stuttered? What if the gallery director dismissed her ideas entirely? Her fingers traced the sketches, grounding her when doubts threatened to consume her. It was during those moments of contemplation that she recognized her evolving relationship with fear. Once a crippling barrier, it was transforming into a call for action, a reminder that her voice mattered. When the day of the meeting arrived, uncertainty clung to her, a tight coil in her stomach. As she stood outside the gallery, the intricately designed door loomed large, mirroring the new potential pathway she sought. She inhaled deeply, absorbing her surrounding sights, sounds, and scents intertwining, igniting a recognition that art, her art, could be a voice for others. The meeting itself became a crucible where each question cut sharply into her confidence. But, at the center of that pressure, Lily found resilience. She strategically navigated through moments of doubt, responding articulately and passionately, infusing every word with the heartbeat of her vision. She left the gallery, heart racing, knowing she had laid everything on the line. Yet, even as she stepped into the bustling street, the mingled thrill and fear stirred within her. Had she done enough? The confrontation with judgment felt inescapable. As she made her way home, she noticed the trees aligning along the street, their leaves shimmered in the afternoon sun, and a thought surged through her. What if this was the moment that began her transformation? She was breathing courage into existence. Despite uncertainty flourishing in the background, but tomorrow would bring the gallery's response, a verdict that could either validate her leap of faith or send her tumbling backward. Would she find a way to embrace potential success, or would the specter of failure cast a shadow over her newfound identity as an artist? A week later, the sun peeked through the heavy curtains of Lily's studio, illuminating the vibrant canvases that surrounded her, a tangible testament to the creative journey she had embarked upon. The air was electric with anticipation. Each brushstroke echoed her journey from doubt to courage, and now, standing at the precipice of artistic affirmation, she felt an exhilarating mixture of hope and vulnerability. Lily. David's voice cut through her reverie, pulling her from reverie into reality as he swept into the room. His enthusiasm charged the air, making it harder to breathe. "You'll never believe what I got." She turned to him, curiosity piqued. "What happened?" Her heart raced as she caught the gleam in his eye. "The gallery reached out. They loved our proposal and want to feature our installation. It'll be showcased this spring." David's laughter burst forth, an explosion of joy that bubbled over, filling the studio with light. For a moment, Lily stood frozen, disbelief washing over her. "Are you serious? They actually said yes?" "Yes. We're going to have our own exhibition, Lily." His excitement ignited a fire within her, the possibility of recognition for her artistry sparking like fireworks against the canvas of her soul. In that instant, Lily felt the weight of her family's expectations begin to lessen. Here she was, achieving something entirely forged from the raw strength of her desire. This moment wasn't just an acceptance of her artistic vision, it was a confirmation of her identity that had been reconstructed throughout these past few months. "Can you believe it? Our work will be displayed," she exclaimed, her voice higher than before as disbelief turned into unbridled joy. "This is incredible, David." As the reality of her achievement began to settle in like a warm embrace, her thoughts turned to her parents. The disapproval still loomed in the background, an ever-present shadow, but she felt transformed. Isolated acceptance was a fair price for the thrill of authenticity. Days turned into a whirlwind of planning as they melded their artistic visions together, sewing the threads of nature and human experience into a cohesive narrative. Each meeting with David further solidified not only their collaborative spirit but their bond. Her artistic style found its resonance within his gardening, and the dynamic synergy they shared blossomed. As they shaped the installation, Lily illustrated the various stages of life intertwined with nature, growth and decay, rebirth and connection, a testament to beauty in all forms. The work felt alive, breathing through the colors and textures she laid down, and she was finally stepping into her role as an artist, unapologetically. The opening night was a cacophony of laughter and conversations, a synergy of people drawn together by curiosity and admiration. Standing in front of their completed exhibit, Lily felt pride swell within her as onlookers absorbed her world, both David's and hers. It was an achievement underscored by hard-won bravery, the culmination of facing her deepest fears. The night ebbed and flowed as conversation sparked around her installation, and for the first time, she felt the walls of expectation morph into something that felt empowering. With each person who stepped forward to share their thoughts or emotions stirred by her work, the recognition for her artistry burrowed deeper into her sense of self. In that moment, the inevitable confrontation with her mother came to the forefront of her mind. She could hear faint echoes of disapproval whispered in corners of her thoughts, but they no longer threatened to drown her spirit. At that moment, she spotted her parents entering the gallery. It felt as if the world stopped, tension poised in the air. Would they understand what this vision encapsulated, or would they only see the gardener beside her, tarnishing their image of Lily? They approached slowly, and Lily steadied herself. This was the moment of truth. "Lily," her mother began, the words buoyed with an edge of uncertainty. "This is something different. Different can be good." Lily replied confidently, feeling the grounding presence of David beside her. "It's about authenticity, Mom, not just aesthetics." Her father interjected, a glimmer of pride in his eyes as he stepped towards a young couple examining the exhibit. "It's extraordinary how passionate you both are. It feels like a dialogue." Lily basked in this moment of connection, forging anew perspectives. A spark ignited within her. Perhaps they were beginning to see her not just in terms of their lofty expectations but as who she had fought to become. As they delved deeper into conversations related to her artwork, the spark of acceptance spread, and so did the understanding that success could take many forms. Their initial reservations began to melt away with every statement shared about personal interpretation and the beauty woven into each experience mirrored through her art. As the night continued, surrounded by laughter and celebration, a clarity enveloped her. Lily had conquered not just the gallery but a lifetime of expectations. She stood tall in her transformation, suffused with confidence and fulfillment, a testament to her journey. No longer confined to the shadows of privilege, she had staked her claim in the realm of authenticity. With time, she understood that being true to oneself often demanded profound bravery. Lily embraced the fear of rejection, knowing where growth thrived, authenticity followed. She had not only created an exhibit that showcased nature and humanity but an unwavering connection to her own identity, and in doing so, she had put to rest the lingering echoes of doubt that had once held her captive. In this evolution, she had understood, identity is an unfolding art, painted on the canvas of life, and she emerged from this chapter radiant, fulfilled, and fiercely alive. Now, as you navigate life's own artistic endeavors, remember, your authenticity matters. The world needs to see your colors, your truth. You need to subscribe now to our channel. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover these emotional journeys. Comment below your reactions and theories about Lily's transformation, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your engagement can create ripples of change.